expected to roll. They got a tougher than expected test. The U.S. women's soccer team fell. The United States men barely held on for a 94-91 win over Serbia. They had been tested now in their last 2 games since that opener against China. Things have gotten very, very tight. Here's what I mean as you look at just a 3-point victory for Coach K and company. If this is a stock in terms of margin of victory, it is trending down. 57 against China, as I mentioned, then holding on against Australia, a game in which they trailed at the half, and then barely holding off Serbia today in a 1-possession game. They'll finish out group play on Sunday, the Americans will, against France.
You're the first basketball player to represent the USA in 4 Olympic Games.
Yeah, don't remind me.
Does that make you feel old?
When you think about it.
None of your contemporaries are doing it. You know, no. LeBron's not here, and Kobe and Dwayne Wade. They didn't, and you did. Why?
Yeah, I enjoy it. I like it. I enjoy learning about different players, personalities, not just the basketball players, but as people. And I feel like I'm kind of that bridge, that gap, you know, between the veterans and the young guys that's a part of the team.
You are, in many respects, the face right now of social activism this summer, in the wake of everything that has happened.
I didn't plan it to be like that. It wasn't a plan. It's just something that happened. Like it was very authentic. It was very genuine. Because I could have spoke out plenty of times of other things that's been going on, but a lot of times you just want to wait. And just see what comes naturally.
I know that you spent some of your childhood in Baltimore. You marched in the Freddie Gray protests. You had been involved in ads for gun control, but you had never gone to the extent that you did with your Instagram post.
Yeah.
What is it that sparked that particular moment where you sat there privately and said, you know what, I just can't help it, I have to say something?
I really don't know. I was watching the news and I just got tired of seeing it, and I'm just like started typing and before you know it, that Instagram post went up.
Why do you think that it resonated with so many people?
I think people were surprised at the fact that an athlete of my stature stepped up to the plate and said something. A lot of times with athletes, we're kind of afraid sometimes of speaking out on different issues, and I think it's the platform for us to say something. We needed our voice to be out there.
The urgency to create change is at an all-time high.
You were the impetus, the opening of the ESPYs. What were those conversations like as you brought LeBron and Dwayne Wade and Chris Paul to the stage?
Well, it was, we have a group chat, and, they actually was like, we need to do something. Like, Melo, you called us out. We have your back. We support you. We need to figure this out.
You also, with some of your Olympic teammates, to continue the conversation, or maybe start the conversation, right, in LA, you had a forum. Who was there, and what do you think was accomplished?
Well, both men and women USA basketball teams was there. We had police chiefs, from that area in LA. We had kids, from the Boys and Girls Club that's down there. We had,
South Central LA.
South Central LA. We had community leaders. We had activists. We had just all type of people there. And for me, it was more not. It wasn't about a quote unquote town hall. It was more about a conversation with the youth and putting those to the youth and the police officers and letting them hear each other out. And a lot of times that's where the disconnect comes in at, because the police don't hear what the youth is talking about. The youth don't want to hear what the police is talking about because it's a distrust and it's a disconnect.
What were both sides saying? What did you take away from it and say, wow, this group learned this?
I was more like educated at the fact that some of the officers that was there was like, we've never heard this before. We embrace kind of these conversations. We want more of these conversations. We need more of these conversations. So I was more kind of shocked that they didn't know, and the stories that was being told to the police, about some personal stories, police brutality thing. I had a couple guys, a kid in my group who just was shot by police a couple weeks before that. And for him to step up and actually look in the face of a police officer and say, I don't trust you. Like that right there was like, oh.
Powerful.
Yeah, it was like, wow. But we got past that, and it was a great conversation between those two people. And for me, that was like, okay, I did my job. I did my job. But I needed that. I wanted that. I wanted the kid to look the police in the eyes and say, we don't trust you. I don't trust you. And why I don't trust you.
What did you share from your personal experience with those kids?
Well, I mean, I grew up in that. I've seen police brutality before, and I've experienced police brutality, not at that high level, but I've experienced it before. And for me, it was just easy for me to tell that story because that's what's going on right now.
What do you think needs to happen going forward to really affect true change? Because your point is the system's broken, and that's what we've got to fix.
Yeah. My opinion is we have to put more emphasis on the school systems, education, in-home education, different programs, educational programs, whether it's more rec centers, whether it's more Boys and Girls Clubs, we need more initiatives, for kids to take advantage of. And we need to be educated. We need to educate our youth because right now it's a major, major disconnect. And another point that I was making in that conversation was the police. I mean, you have to abide by the law. You're not the law. I mean, at the end of the day, and they was very receptive, to knowing that.
How committed are you to continuing this?
I'm committed. And we got to get our youth back, out the streets. We got to get the community feeling back. And we need police to do that. I mean, we need them to protect and serve, but we also need them to kind of build these bonds back into the community because this is lost right now.
How familiar are you as you go into the Olympics with the Black Power salute, with what Tommy Smith and John Carlos did?
I'm very, very aware of that. That's a very powerful image. I actually have that picture. As soon as you walk in my house, I have that picture there.
Really?
Yeah, and this was way before any of this was going on. But I just look at that moment and the way that they seized that moment. It's a backstory to the guy from Australia that's in that picture too, that was going through something in Australia.
He supported them.
He supported them, and a lot of people don't know that story.
And he suffered consequences.
And he suffered consequences back in Australia. So that's another story that I think needs to be told because while we were going through something in our own country, he was going through something in his country. So it wasn't just about us, it was about the whole world.
That was in 1968. Think about that.
Yeah. And here we are, 2016, and still going through the same thing.
As you go to the Olympics and the platform becomes bigger and bigger, have you thought about using the Olympic platform?
I've honestly thought about it. I just don't have the answers to what should be done. And then I'll sit back and I'll also say, okay, this is the biggest platform. The whole world is watching. What better way than to make a statement than it is to go out there and win a gold medal and become united. That's bigger than any other protest that we could possibly do on that stage.
What sense did you get seeing KD for this first appearance there at Oracle, and now you've seen him play with Draymond and Clay, about how that's going to go?
Well, I think they'll have an adjustment period. There's no question about it. Playing with KD is fun. I've coached him twice. This will be the third time I've coached him, and actually, I almost made the Beijing team as a young guy from the select team. He's been that good. He's been with us the 11 years, and I see him grow. He's even better now because he's very competitive, a little bit more vocal, and is a good teammate. And that night, I wanted it to be special for him because he's very sensitive, and he wants everyone to not necessarily like him, but respect him and think highly of him. So that decision knocked him back, I think, a little bit. And we've been talking.
The criticism that he engendered by deciding to go with the Warriors.
Yeah, one thing I told him, I said, when you're really good, you're going to be criticized, and you're going to be hated by a certain amount of people. Just if you win and if you're really good, that, you might get 50 letters and 49 of them say how much they love you. Don't let the one letter ruin it. But we do a lot of times until you get a kind of immune to that. I said, so that's what you're going through now. And a lot of people are not going to like you because of the decision you made. I said, do you like the decision? He says, yes, I do. I said, well, all right. You don't have to answer to anyone else. Just let's get over this. I thought that night helped him get over it.
You know that from being at Duke.
I know.
You understand
I know
that.
what being loved and being hated, and with people not even knowing you. I know that, and thank goodness, because that means we've won. But we've always respected the game and people, and I did tell Katie this. You know what? Even the people who say they do not like you, they respect you. And if they don't, they're knuckleheads, because then they don't respect excellence. And you know what, man? You are excellent. You're the best. So if someone doesn't like that, that's cool. But they should respect you. And that's what a competitive person should want, that respect.